In the prior session, we talked about the fundamental concepts of trust and how you can start to think about those more intentionally. Today, I'm going to talk a little more about how to apply those concepts in relationships so that you can be more intentional about how you're earning and receiving trust. So think of yourself here, and this is a coworker. Remember, those three factors are competence, benevolence, and reliability, and those are the factors for perceived trustworthiness. So we each are demonstrating those at any given time via the behaviors that we portray. And if they happen to align, then great. We're probably going to have one of those relationships. We've all had them. We know they feel great. You just seem to naturally trust someone and they trust you. And it's more easily earned. The question is that always the case? I think we all know it's not always the case. And that's because there's another important factor here, and that's what's called the propensity to trust. I like to think of these as the walls. What are the walls that people have up that limit them from giving trust to others? And so behind those walls are where we may see that we have different preferences for those three factors. And that dominates how we demonstrate our behaviors that we think are going to earn trust, because that's what we want to see when other people are trying to earn our trust. So in this example here, I may value competence very highly. And so I am significantly demonstrating the competence that I have. I also know benevolence and reliability are important, so I'm demonstrating them as well. But what I don't know is with this new coworker, I haven't gotten to know them well, and they value benevolence above everything else. So I'm likely not going to earn their trust or have to work much harder, because what's likely happening is they're perceiving me as, it's often you hear of it as a know-it-all. Someone who is relying heavily on their competence, but it's not as highly valued by the other team member. The reverse of this would be this individual doing the exact opposite of leading too much with benevolence and wanting to get to know you, wanting to really share, really showing they care, but then it leaves this person over here questioning, well, do they have the skills that they need? We've got to work together. How do I know that I can trust them when it's time to do whatever it is the task that you two are trying to do together? I'm going to take these away here, because what I would say then is we each have our trust walls. We each have those perceived factors behind the scenes. And the question is, how do I know how to interact with this person? And the simple answer is get curious. Ask them questions. And by ask questions, I don't mean what's it going to take for you to trust me, or why don't you trust me? That's probably not the best way to start. It's more of questions to get to know them. How do you interact with your other team members? What's the best team that you've been on? Or what's your background? Where are you coming from? We ask each other all the time, what's your prior experience? That's intended for us to understand a little bit more that will give us some insight into these three factors. And then even if my preference is to lead with competence, if I've now uncovered that this person really values benevolence, I might lead with this a little more than I would have if I had just started with my preference. And that will help us actually trust a little faster than we would have otherwise, because I've taken the time to ask some questions and get to know them. So for this takeaway, what I would recommend, again, think about those relationships where you want to strengthen trust and actually ask them the questions. Find yourself in situations, put yourself in situations where you can get to know that person a little better, so you get insights into how they want you to earn their trust.